All right. Well, welcome to our last What's Up Wednesday live event for 2021. We are affectionately calling it Reflect and Recharge. And oh boy, do I know many of us on this call joining us live right now, perhaps seeing us on Facebook Live and or too busy and working a lunch line right now and watching this as a recording after we're done, have had a year so far. And so we really hope today, as always, to kind of walk you through some of our Pasonic ideas, inspirations, and I'm going to get to start a little differently than we normally do. And what I'm going to start with is not saying thank you, is saying, what I've done at this stage in the year. My birthday just happened, and many of you, thank you for the well wishes. I start every year, substitutes. Brianna's asking for substitutes. If you haven't answered in the chat what you're asking Santa for, substitute workers are in order. And so I will say this new year coming up, I kind of started a little earlier. I began to say December 5th kind of turns a calendar in my annual, trip around the sun. And so what I'd like to kind of draw us to is something that I found this month to be really helpful. And I think knowing all of you and what all of you are going through as you continue to go through these final weeks with a lot of bumps. I mean, we're hearing a lot of things going on and situations changing on a dime. So we know you don't want to hear words like pivot and resilience and flexibility. So we're going to change it. And you all know I love a good alliteration. So we're going to begin with the idea of mindfulness in terms of our mindset, in terms of taking some deep breaths. For those of you who know Christina Scalise, previous Pasonic partner, always Pasonic partner, kind of sits with us when we do our Pasonic retreats. Yes, Kim Saborksan, and I made them breathe during one of our cooks meetings as well. I think we all need to take that inhale and exhale and deep breath. And so one of the things I wanted to share with you are these mantras, and I know you're shaking your head. I love seeing your face. Thank you for joining us. Mindsets, meditations, and mantras by me. The first is all of these statements for me, I've been using start with may I. And so may we will be how I use them today. But may we continue to flow with grace. For those of you who have heard me talk about grace for the pace, we talked about all of the necessary tapping into the village, the surrounding supports around you, knowing that you aren't alone on this journey. And so we, again, thank you for those who have taken the time to join us live, who will watch this now or later and hope to find some way that we all know we're in this together. And we just need to take that deep breath and flow with grace. Secondly, at this time of the year, I know there are so many things we need that we aren't getting, and that is staffing and supply gaps and peace in this COVID time where we are now seeing uptick in numbers. It's really hard to do number two, but I think it's good to remind ourselves, may we find joy and be grateful for simple things. And so today we're going to talk about some simple ways to really innovate your end of year, ending with the beginning of 2022 in mind, with some menu inspiration. As we always do at Pasonic, we keep it real. The menu is at the heart of what we do. It is at the heart of customer service. And if for not anything else, being grateful for the opportunity to serve kids, specifically for those schools where we know it's the best opportunity they have for a balanced meal, being grateful for that and that opportunity to be in that role and lead that role. The third is probably the trickiest for me. I love this idea of a balance of intuition. So that tiny voice, maybe mystical voice in your mind that is perhaps giving you an urge to do something for yourself, to be able to kick up and take some time off this break to recharge your own batteries so that you can come back in 2022 in a better, stronger, more resilient way. But also never stopping to keep that balance between intuitive thinking and intuitive processes in our staffing and in our lunchrooms and our menu planning and our communications with those that support us, but also continuing to open our minds for inspiration. Because, we always use that saying, if you always do what you always did, you're always going to get what you always got. And that's the definition of insanity. And nowhere on this slide is that word. So we want to be intuitive and inspired, and we want to continue to be your cheerleaders and your supports for that process. And then the last, for me, everybody needs a little compassion, whether you're running last minute to get your own Christmas together for yourself and your families, whether you're serving lunch because you don't have staff. We know it's been really hard to extend compassion to each other and to others in a hectic pace, but certainly I would love to inspire you, hopefully, with these 4 things that I remind myself every time I'm on a yoga mat, every time I take some deep breaths in the morning, and certainly at the end of the day when I'm closing out my email box, I'm really trying to button it up, close it up, and be able to inspire myself so I can continue to be a part of a team that works hard to inspire you. So with that said, today's agenda looks very much the same as how we have done these in the past. We do want to focus on all things food, facts, and safety. I think it's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle. And of course, our resident expert, Sarah Carlson, will be speaking to you a little bit about some fun facts from ODE, always keeping ourselves compliant and ready for that audit. If it's coming this year or not, we don't know. There was a little scare in our world this week, and we're glad we're past that. But also the safety part of, we want to make sure we're dotting all of the I's and crossing the T's of food safety. Secondly, we're going to talk a little bit about practicing what we preach. And so at this time of the year, although our school calendar year ends in June, the true calendar year is a midway check mark for us. And today we're going to talk a bit about what that midway checklist looks like for you, so you can button up this semester with an eye on being prepared for next semester. And certainly we'll talk a lot about how that relates to commodity today as a focus. Without a doubt, we're going to talk about your menu, and we're going to talk about ways, despite challenges, to continue to make it over intuitively, so that you are not chasing a logistical tail, and with inspiration to really serving the students that you have the opportunity to serve. And last but not least, I say this over again and again, it does take a village. In our village, in our region, strongly includes some really dedicated folks from Gordon Food Service. And so we thought it a good opportunity to say hello, and from our team to your team, number one, express that gratitude. We appreciate you. We know you're on this journey with us, and certainly we welcome Jeff Owens, Kathy Zucchelli, and their boss, Jessica, to talk to us a little bit about their perspective as we close out this year as it relates to industry. So without further ado, I am going to pass it over to Miss Sarah.
Thanks, Maureen. Good afternoon, everyone. So just a couple of things I want to go over. If you have time in your kitchens, I know as we are getting ready to close out this semester that there are some PD days coming up either this Friday or next week. If you have time to get in your kitchens and do some deep cleaning, I think that's a great way to spend that time. I know there's also some PD days coming up in a lot of districts in January. If you've already been able to get all of your hours for your CEUs, then this is another opportunity that you can use those hours for and just really deep clean those kitchens. Another thing that I've noticed is I've been in and out of buildings, and as Maureen alluded to, I know we've all been pretty short staffed and it's been really tough. Hand washing still is really important. It's not just COVID season. It's just virus and all kinds of yuckiness this time of the year and sicknesses. So in order to keep the people that we do have healthy, if we could just remember to continue to wash our hands frequently throughout the day, that's really helpful. I know that we get super busy and that kind of goes by the wayside, but it's really super important to keep everyone healthy that's in your kitchen. And it's the easiest way that we can prevent spreading things to one another. Also, I know December is a short month. Yes, you do and should take final inventory for this semester before you go on to winter break, so you know what you have and what you need. Also, of course, because nobody's in the building, if there is a time that a piece of equipment is going to go down or something is going to happen, it's probably going to be over a break. So then if an insurance claim needs to get filed for the district, then you would have that information to be able to provide. So, yep, but you shouldn't have too much inventory. Hopefully you're using this week, and if you're going to school next week, to clean out what you've got and kind of make sure that that's all buttoned up before we come back to school in January. Some easy stuff for ODE updates. Remember, your verification collection report is due into CURS. So you've already completed verification. That should have been done by November 15th, but the actual collection report needs to be uploaded by January 14th into KERS. So make sure that you get that done. On-site monitoring, okay, we do have to do that. There is no waiver this year for filling those out. If you've never done breakfast before, I know there's a lot of new breakfast programs in districts this year. There is a form for breakfast and there is a form for lunch. You must fill one out for each building and for each program, okay? So if your building is now doing breakfast and you've never done breakfast before, that form is in KERS under the downloadable forms. So you can download that there. If you can't find it, just reach out to me and I'll send you a copy of it. And then you can simply scan that and keep an electronic copy, or you can put in a file folder in your filing cabinet and you can keep it for your next administrative review, which won't be until next year. So we can all take a deep breath. No administrative reviews this year. And then just another huge update nationally, the micro purchase threshold was increased to $50,000 last month. So that should make purchasing a little bit easier, not having to go out for 3 bids and a buy for anything under that $50,000 mark. So again, a little leniency on being able to purchase services or items. So that is national. Okay, so that started November 1st. So second semester, you are good to go with that $50,000 threshold. So this is what that on-site accountability form looks like. If you've forgotten, we haven't had to fill these out for a minute. So you can find this in KERS and it is due by February 1st. So you needed to review your breakfast and lunch programs at each of your buildings by February 1st. So it's a really quick checklist. If you've already been in your buildings and you know what day you were in there and you observe the program, fill it out for that day. Okay. So pretty simple, not a whole lot of updates as far as compliance goes. So that's kind of nice. We get a little breather from all the ODE compliance updates. So I'm going to pass it to Tina Hastings to talk a little bit about our plan for commodities moving forward in the second semester.
Hi, everyone. So we're going to kind of we're talking about practicing what I preach. As I've been kind of looking up at the end of this year and figuring out where we're standing. I want to make sure that everybody's out there looking at their PAL reports, look at your thermometers, go into HPS, check it all out. This is a very important thing for us right now. You should, in a perfect world, to be about 50%. Your thermometers would be great. Just make sure you check it out. Look at your DOD versus your single bake. Remember your reallocated funds that we were given in October. Look at those. Remember that those were based on the 1920 school year. So they are a little lower this year. So you want to make sure we're on the correct page with your commodities so that we don't leave anything sitting at the table at the end of the school year. Next. So as I was looking through this, talking about practicing what we preach, I'm looking through this and realized, oh my gosh, we are going to be out of money for Woodridge come January, February, including our reallocated money. So I had to stop and think, what are these reasons? Why is our money going so quickly this year versus other years? Remember, we have had increased participation across the board. I know a lot of districts are almost double what they were doing. I was working on the KPI reports for Woodridge, the one district that I worked at, and I had to show all my ladies. I did from 18-19 to 21-22 school year, and they've almost tripled what they were doing in 18-19 in participation, which explains to these ladies why we're so tired. So look at this, think about all of these things. Our reallocated funds again was decreased. It was actually more money they gave us per meals, but again, unfortunately, it was going back to the 1920 school year. And if you're a district that is kind of runs 50%, I know COVID has hurt some districts, but those districts that are running like 40-50% free or reduced, all the free meals has been, it was a blessing to all of these districts, and we've made a lot of money in that time frame. So unfortunately, going back to 18-19 or 19-20, our participation was lower then. So our reallocated funds is not as much. So just pay attention to that. What do we do when we run out of commodities? This is my question. I was starting to get a little excited. Oh my gosh, what do we do? We're running out. So of course I reach out to my little lovely friend over at Tammy Carms and says, what am I going to do? In the past, we've been able to, when we start to run out of monies, we've been able to go back and they take out of the single bank. So if there are districts that aren't using all of their funds, they've been able to gather it back up, put it in a fund and try and reallocate more funds. Now, from the sounds of it, everybody's using their monies this year. So people are going to start running out. So look at your commodities, see where you're at, kind of start budgeting, figuring out where you're going to be January, February. What do we do? Don't, like DOD, we transfer in January. We're allowed to usually transfer commodity money and move more into our DOD if we need to. If you're running low, I would suggest not doing that. You want to concentrate on your center of the plate items that are a little more costly. Produce, we can get, you have Overland Food Hub, we have GFS, we can get that, it's going to be a little bit cheaper to purchase for the money to come out of your pocket for produce versus your chicken and your pizzas, your beefs, all your main center plate items. Review your inventory is another thing. Go back in there and look. I mean, I know we've had a lot of items that we've purchased throughout this school year that could possibly be in there. Maybe you have to do a hodgepodge for one day on your menu, maybe versus doing just a chicken day, where you do chicken nugget day, do chicken day, because you may have one bag here of this, one bag here of that. And, kind of just look at your menu, let us know what we can do to change that if you have to add things to it. Another thing, as we're looking through it, once the commodity money does run out, how are we going to do the spending? That money is now coming out of our pockets. It's no longer, free money as we've looked at through the past years. So you need to assess it, know where your funds are going to be. So look at it. Think about how much you've spent so far on your PAL report this year up to this point. Kind of guesstimate, kind of take that as an average and say, okay, I know I've spent 20% of my commodity money, or 20% of my groceries are coming out of commodities. Now you're going to have to multiply that back into what you're spending, because now that commodity money is going to increase your general expenses through your GFS orders and your Overland Food Hub, all your local purchases. So that's money that now is coming out of our pockets, which usually in previous years I know we all look at it in our April and Mays. That's where we're usually not spending a lot of money. We're using up that commodity money. We're, using up our inventory. So that's usually where we make the bulk of our money. This year, reevaluate, budget it, make sure that you're going to be set, and you don't have any, some hidden costs that are going to hit us at the end of the year that we may not have expected ever before. We've talked about this. This is something we've not seen. So Kathy just said Jeff and them can help us with options on what to focus on as well, because that's sometimes if there's commodities, you may not be able to purchase that commodity at a regular expense, but Kathy and Jeff will be able to help you figure out, okay, because we're so used to buying Tyson chicken. What if, that's not a product. We know Tyson will work with us. JTM is possibly one that you may not be. Your mac and cheese that comes at a commodity price, you may not be able to get that and pay full price for it. So you may have to look into finding a different kind of mac and cheese. So these are just things you want to think about going into the new year. Also, one last thing as a positive, check your emails, look at KERS. December 13th, they deposited some funds into us for the PEBT. Schools were awarded PEBT administration funds. It came from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. They defined the tiers, which you'll see at the bottom of the screen, the number of PET children that were eligible, and it kind of tells you where your district would fall. The funds must be used as an allowable and justifiable incurred for administration of the PEBT. So it has to be used towards your PEBT, like if admin. So, from our district, if you're the one who's working your PEBT, that money that came into KERS, let your treasurer know that needs to be allocated into your 006 fund. So that money gets put into where it needs to be. And again, check your KERS. It's already been put in. They were just put in on Monday. So that's a plus, it doesn't matter how many we have, some of these districts that have a lot more kids, they're going to get a little bit more money. So even a small amount, the less amount, $614, we'll take it. We can find something to do with that. Definitely going to help us at the end when we run out of our commodities. So look at it that way. So I'm going to pass it on to Marge.
Thank you, Tina. I'm just gonna echo some of the things you said. Lila already in the chat mentioned she's already out of commodity money. So I think, this is a different kind of vibe for us this year to really kind of look at the pricing of our plate and being able to be cognizant of it. I know some of our schools have already asked us when they were looking at increased reimbursements from federal dollars, what would a spend down plan be? Currently, the spend down plan is keep that money in your account and really elevate the discussion of what your plate cost is now and will be without commodity, really that 20% that helps offset that cost. We would be remiss if we didn't say, we know staffing is continuing to be an issue. So you perhaps maybe paying staff and you will be having substitute workers, we hope, when we ask Santa for substitutes like Brianna Cates and many of us that don't have substitutes or overtime or extra time, for those folks. So we just want to make sure we're really, again, focusing on the knowledge we have at our fingertips with our key performance indicators. Certainly Tina is awesome at looking at all things plate and plate averages. And I love that, Kathy, you also chimed in along with Jeff and the team at Gordon Food Service. Our question to Kathy was like, hey, what happens when we run out? Are there only items that are strictly commodity? Can you let us know what those items are? Can we have a red flag in advance of our menu that if we do have to switch to an alternative mac and cheese, an alternative burger or an alternative chicken, what the best next option is, and plan in advance of that. Don't be surprised. There's ways we can control. I like to say it's not a slot machine when you hit submit on your grocery order. There are ways to think through strategy. And right now, we hope you're looking down the opportunity for a couple weeks of downtime from the every day-to-day business of school food service, but also reminding you preparedness is going to help you start 2020 in a calm way. And so, again, just thank you, Tina, for your heads up there and certainly the partnership and comments. Keep the comments rolling in. And as Tina was going to, I'm going to hand it over. Another favorite part of our alliteration is this menu makeover series with Marge. So Marge, take it away.
Great, thank you. I love how that works with our initials. Happy Wednesday, everybody, and happy holiday season. So yeah, just want to talk to you about your menus and some things that maybe we can inspire you with or some heads up. So thinking about burger bars, and we would like you to consider some of these options for ways that you might help with the supply gap in the hamburger or your burger bars. There is the raw burger patty that's available from Gordon Food Service, so not getting the pre-cooked ones that might be more challenging. The raw burger is a great option to try. You just, when you use this, want to make sure that you're using proper HACCP procedures and cooking the burger to proper temperature at 155 degrees, making sure that you're temping the burger as you're cooking it, and cleaning thermometers in between taking temperatures, and of course being aware of any cross contact with any raw produce items when you're working with, or produce items when you're working with raw meat. Also consider maybe a turkey burger or a grilled chicken fillet. Oftentimes you can go to restaurants and instead of their traditional burger, they offer that with a turkey burger or chicken option. And think about doing that in your schools also. As a vegetarian option, there is a Morningstar Farms black bean burger that's available and is CN labeled. And we don't think that you're probably going to want to just offer the black bean burger on your burger bar by itself, but making some of these options along with a burger is a good way to stretch your supply that you have, and of course offer different varieties. We even have been encouraging making a homemade veggie burger, and we do have a recipe for that. So this is a great thing if you have your taco bar on one day and you have some leftover rice and corn and black beans. That's really easy to mix together and make your own black bean burgers. And you can even make those and freeze them for another time. So we have that recipe available if anybody's interested in trying that out. We also want to think about some national holidays, food days that are coming up that you might want to use that as an opportunity to try some new things on your menu. So January 4th, National Spaghetti Day. Of course, we all have spaghetti on our menus, but how could you do that with a twist? I assure you, both of these recipes are really easy. The Shanghai sweet and spicy spaghetti uses spaghetti tossed with a sriracha sauce and just some stir fry vegetables. The Thai shaker spaghetti salad there is more of like a grab and go item. Again, really easy with like a soy chili sauce dressing that would be easy to make, use up produce items also. Then we also have National Bean Day. So these recipes, a corn and edamame salad, we actually use this on one of our preschool menus on their Asian Day, and even the little preschoolers like it. Really simple corn and an edamame mix with some Asian dressing. And then another recipe, I know we always think about beans and, you know, we put out beans, but kids don't like them. I assure you the cowboy, and sometimes so it's called cowboy caviar, using black-eyed peas is a way to maybe try a different way to add beans onto your menu, more like a salsa with chips. We also have a lot of bean soup recipes. So with winter months, if anybody wants to try a soup that has beans, again, just reach out to us and we're glad to share any recipes. Who wouldn't love this? National Glazed Donut Day, January 12th. So thinking about highlighting the donuts on your menu. We even have recipes, gosh, using donuts in place of a bun for a sandwich, a little twist on a traditional glazed donut, or the donut holes that are available, kind of making it different. There's a great, we call it yo caramel dip, that uses yogurt and a little bit of brown sugar to almost make like a caramel dip, but it's made with yogurt. So that might be something that you want to try to menu for National Glazed Donut Day. And then of course, we all think of February as being Heart Healthy Month. And so if there's something that you can, you know, do to promote heart health, when I think about heart health as a dietitian, of course, avocados come to mind, beans, whole grains. So our pasta salad that has a light avocado dressing is a great recipe. We've made this in some of our culinary trainings and have gotten great feedback about that. You can make it as a side dish, or you can add chicken or something else to it to make it as a main entree. And then of course, a rainbow salad. When I think about heart healthy eating, really healthy eating in general, what do we say? Eat the rainbow. So a variety of vegetables here. I particularly like thinking about more colder winter months, using some of like the purple cabbage. This particular recipe has broccoli on it. So those are great cruciferous vegetables. They're obviously very healthy. But something like you could even use Brussels sprouts, shaved Brussels sprouts, or a slaw mix, similar to with the purple cabbage, even adding that to lettuce to extend the quantity of lettuce that you have. That would be a great thing to do. I think it's more about any variety of vegetables that you use here, kind of the placement on the salad featuring the rainbow, kind of that's more important than necessarily what vegetables you use, just making it a variety of vegetables to, again, promote that eating the rainbow. And then tater tots. What kid doesn't love tater tots? And we often think of them as being a starchy side, but we have several recipes that utilize tater tots with various toppings on them. So taking those Tex-Mex flavors and adding that to them, or barbecue, Tater Tots. So a variety here. And this is one of those recipes that's on our My School menus back of the house. And you can always reach out, look at some of these recipes through that program that we have and see if that's something that you would like. And then I think another great fun celebration to do with kids would be celebrating the Super Bowl coming up. And a lot of, favorite foods are Super Bowl friendly kind of foods. And both these recipes here could also be used with National Tortilla Chip Day that's on February 24th. Again, these recipes are on our My School menu back of the house. So you can get that link. I'll tell you in a bit how to get that. And you can even just look at them on there. I think both of these recipes even have videos that show how easy it is to make them. And both of these two, you can use in a variety of different applications. So when I think of buffalo chicken dip or spinach dip, you think of it as a dip with the tortilla chips, but you can also use it as a spread to make like a sandwich or in a bistro box with some veggies. So they have multiple uses. We call them spinach dip 3 ways, or the buffalo chicken dip 3 different ways. So there's lots of opportunities if you make this to use it across the menu in a variety of ways. So again, we're here to help. If any of those recipes, particularly the My School menu back of the house recipes, if you are one of our Pasonic clients that use the Healthy Meal Planner Pro, we can easily share those recipes with you, or you can get our link for that My School menu back of the house by just sending us an email at our support@ppllc.info. If you decide you want any of these recipes on our menu or on your menus. As always, just make sure when you submit a support ticket, giving us as much information as you can so that we can make those changes efficiently for you. So hopefully I've given you some inspiration. And I will pass it back, Tina and Maureen, for doing something good.
Thank you so much, Marge. I'm always inspired. The other thing I wanted to bring up is at the end of the year, we always get these like, what was the top trend in 2021? And so also find on that My School menu back of the house, the TikTok challenge wrap, where we teach you how to wrap the way the TikTok challenge kind of created an opportunity to use a tortilla vehicle as an alternative wrap sandwich. But also what makes it come to life for me is it's crazy, the stuff I'm reading right now about how TikTok is influencing purchasing patterns in Gen Z and millennials. So those things that you do that are trendy or you see out there on social media, let us know. We can help you up your cool game, your cool factor in your cafeteria, because that's where people are looking. The top 3, for those of you who wanted to know, a baked feta pasta on TikTok, increased sales on Instacart by 106% for the ingredients, crazy. This one intrigues me, salmon rice bowl. I know we're not doing a lot of salmon in schools, but certainly interesting to see people are not only getting recipes to make recipes for the first time, but thinking of creative ways on using leftovers. And that's exactly what we saw Marge illustrate there with making your own veggie burgers, which is kind of intriguing to me too. And then the third top social media food trend for 2021 is nature's cereal, which was actually interesting just to kind of read, what's going on out in the world and how it impacts what your customers, your consumers, i.e. your parents and students are looking for or would find gravitate a common kind of fun thing in your cafeteria if you're able to highlight some of that. So, with that being said, doing something good is always my highlight to really just celebrate all of you. I'm going to let Tina take over to talk a little bit about what we were inspired by this month, care of Chris Doyle, the Woodridge High School manager.
Yeah, so Chris is the high school manager at the Woodridge, like Maureen just said. And I just, at this time of the year, everybody's tensions are high, not to mention you throw the pandemic in there, everybody's a little crazy. You know, Chris is less than a year away from retirement. And I get a phone call from her telling me, I'm so excited. We said 383 meals today. It's the most we've ever done on one day in a high school. And she's been here 30 years, you know, and here she was so excited, and it just got me thinking, oh my gosh, here's a woman who's been in this food service for 30 years and can still get excited about that, especially in the solid, you know, in these times that are so crazy. And I just wanted to recognize her and let you, and hope you guys go out and look at your employees and your staff, and just, you know, that energy, that positive energy, just, you know, absorb it, you know, and try and you pray that it goes on. You pray it goes from one person to the next. But it was just so nice to see such a positive, and it was on a Friday, you know. You're thinking Friday, oh my gosh, she just wants to take off for the weekend. And it was very moving to hear it and have her be so excited at this stage. And I thought, you know, we hear so many negatives and so many Debbie Downers that are out there, and I can't do this anymore. And you just want to grab, you know, her energy and just spread it out there to get us through this school year. So on the next slide, if you just, here's just a few things that she's, you know, here is a person that through the pandemic, this is all stuff she's been doing through the pandemic. You know, she's still going out there making sure the staff or the kids have fresh fruits and vegetables. She did a try day with us while we were doing remote meals to the kids, you know, for American Dairy Association. She was willing to still do this. She makes sure her line is vibrant and beautiful for her students. Again, you know, here she made homemade peach cobbler, had a bunch, all she could get was canned peaches. What do I do? And she didn't think twice about it. Didn't, you know, Crab said, hey, I'm going to do this, you know. So she's, you know, always making the cowboy salsa and just doing fresh stuff. And it's just a breath of fresh air to see somebody who's willing at this stage of the game to still say, hey, we can do this and we're still going to make it happy, and take such pride in what she does. So.
And I get to catch something good and spread something good along the lines of our work with Feed Our Future. Many of you know this organization based out of the Cuyahoga County Board of Health, but certainly spreading its wings this year and joining forces with the Green Umbrella in the greater Cincinnati region. So when we talk about what happened well in 2021, being able to look at how we spent nearly $600,000 in local spending for the state of Ohio shows across the state, starting here right in Northeast Ohio and spreading out, we are still focused on serving the best possible harvest of the month local produce items and really making that cafeteria an extension of the classroom. And the dollar amount in the investment in that is showing forward. So if you haven't looked at this Feed Our Future website, if you haven't taken the pledge, please take the opportunity to look at it. If you did, thank you for being a part of this contribution. We do believe at Pasonic Partners, you know, the whole grow it, know it, sparking that interest in students learning and also getting the best opportunity they can. You know, many of the schools we serve, you know, their parents aren't gardeners, and they certainly don't live in rural areas where they see how food is brought to the table. Every little bit of how we connect those dots really makes a difference for kids. The middle section there is how we've engaged, and I'd like to thank my team, specifically Tina. You know, we talked about being caught doing something good. The easier we make it for you to be successful is the goal, right? So our short video footage that we've created with USDA farm to school grants featured on this website, on our back of the house My School menus, those are all ways for you to engage in quick short video tutorials on how easy this can be. So I know we're all looking at ways, we hope, as we get into 2022 to kind of re-emphasize, re-inspire, reinvigorate our purpose. Our Plan Your Purpose tool as well. If somebody wants to drop the link into the chat from my team, that would be helpful. If you're interested, there is an assessment, a discovery survey to say, you know what, yes, this has been a hard year and we're getting by, but what do I want to strategize? What do I want to see happen in my program? You know, resolutions are around the corner. We're, you know, December 15th. So we know we want to be a part of how you resolve to think about ways your program can have a mission and a strategy that you can get behind. Lastly, 75% increase belongs to this pledge group here, 84% more pledges this year in 2021. So join the movement. Spread the local cheer. We know it's hard given all of the struggles we are facing with staffing and supply gaps, but we certainly want you to know there are others that would be happy to show you the way and applaud you and stand next to you in camaraderie to doing better food for kids. So visit feedourfuture.org and tell us what you think. Join the movement. I will pass back to Tina, because of course we find things, we talk about TikTok and social media. Are those strawberry Santas not the cutest? So I challenged Tina. I also just sent her a number 10 can challenge of decorating number 10 cans for holidays. But Tina is definitely the inspired person to kind of keep the treats forefront. So Tina, tell us a little bit about these holiday picks.
Okay, so I had one of the managers from Garfield Heights called me up and she says, hey, what can I do? I want to do something for these kids for the holidays. So those pictures of the side with the Jello, she decided to do level Jellos. It was such a great thing. And let me just tell you, she did over like 2,200 Jello cups with the toppings on them in 3 hours. She was so excited, had to tell me how quickly it did it. And then she wanted to do the gnomes. So she's like, hey, how can I get these gnomes? Can you figure out a recipe for me? We want to do this. She's seen it on a Pinterest thing. So I sat down in the kitchen, we figured it out, and we used Dogo's cookies as the cup for the base of the gnome. And then the fresh strawberries that came in were gorgeous this week through DOD. Then just did a topping on there. And I mean, they were so simple, could not believe how easy they were to make. But it's just these little things you want to think about. The kids have had as rough of a year as we have. So, one little thing, why not spread some holiday cheer before the end of the school year. So it was just little things, and it doesn't have to take you all day to do it. Just take something, do something quick, put a little holiday cheer on the kids' trays. So.
Well, thank you so much. And I know we're coming against the end of our time for this What's Up Wednesday Live. And we're going to dedicate the end here to really reaching out and allowing our industry spotlight, the voice for Jessica Johnson, the Central Region Educational Sales Manager, and certainly Kathy and Jeff, thank you for your attendance today and what will certainly be your contribution. So we thank you. We are grateful for your partnership, and we would love to spotlight you this month. So take it away, Jessica.
Thank you so much for having us. I have thoroughly enjoyed everything I've heard today and have had some of my own inspiration from everything I've heard. So thank you for allowing us to join. I always get the bummer of a topic, though, as has been alluded to many times, that the industry, we continue to face many challenges and disruptions to our service levels. And hopefully many of you have been our customers for many years and realize that the way we're operating today is not our normal operating procedures, and that we are still faced with many challenges, such as shortage in labor in our own company, but mostly with our manufacturing partners. And those coupled with some challenges with the freight industry and their raw materials to build product and then to get it back to us, has just created such a trickle-down effect that with SKU rationalizations and limited ability to get products to the manufacturers and from the manufacturers to us, has just created such a low pool of supplies for customers that when we do have adequate supplies of product, or we think that we do, they're quickly pulled out of our distribution center, which I know is extremely frustrating to you, the customer, who's trying to follow a menu and have a plan, and then you're not able to get what you need. So luckily, we have Jeff and Kathy there to really assist you with some of those communications about what we are continuously finding that we cannot get. But the key to that is actually taking things off of your order guide or not ordering it anymore. If we tell you, for example, we cannot get the large Uncrustables from Smucker's, so therefore, ordering the small one or communicating if you think you're going to switch to a different product, like the soy version of the Uncrustable, I think it's Albies, or possibly switching to a different item altogether. Because what we're trying to do every time we're notified of an out of stock or a product that is not being produced anymore, we try to guesstimate where do we think all of that transfer of ordering will move to, so that we can ramp up enough supplies for a substitute item. So that communication is key. We also know that there are many times that you're using that sub list and just seeing what you can snag. So we get that. But if there is a plan for long-term out of stock items and what you plan to make adjustments to, we'd love to have that heads up. Additionally, we are faced with some natural disasters. Last weekend, the Western Kentucky area did suffer greatly from the tornadoes and devastating storms that went through. So we have not only faced difficulties from our own employees, but also our customers in that area. And we're trying to do everything that we can to work with the Department of Education, the Department of Agriculture, as well as some other community engagements that we have partnerships with to make sure we're getting supplies. And there is a large customer that actually pulls out of Springfield that was tapped on the shoulder from the Kentucky Department of Agriculture to provide emergency food for. So that therefore, some of you that might pull out of Springfield, there was a little bit of a dip in product availability this week because of that. But also our vendor partners are removing some bid pricing or adjusting bid pricing continuously. I think we've had over 20 vendors that have communicated in the last 4 months that they are no longer holding bid pricing. With our HPS agreement, they held it to mid-year. So those pricing changes will go into effect in January. But anyone that would be with a different GPO, those are happening at the time that we're communicated with. So some of the things that we are doing differently as a company as a result to try to reduce some of the pain points that our customers are facing is we're trying to change the way we operate as far as a buying pattern. For example, we used to just have pretty much a daily truck from Tyson come to our distribution center, and we would have a standard order of what we would purchase based on the existing forecast or demand. However, because of the new nature of ability to get products and our swing of buying behaviors from our customers, what was happening is we were getting inflated purchasing. So instead of just ordering the 10 item codes we would normally purchase, we were then expanding it to maybe 15 items. And then Tyson would only ship us what they had. And oftentimes it would only be half of a truck. So rather than having a full trailer that we were receiving, which we were expecting, we would only get a portion of the item. So rather than do that, we have kind of wiped out some of our old historical data, and we're pulling more recent history and then working very closely with our vendor partners to say, here's our order. How much of this can you actually guarantee us, so that we can then add additional items to that purchase order so that we can guarantee a full trailer load of product, even if it's 20 different items instead of 10 or 20 cases instead of 100. We're trying to realign our purchasing habits with a better receiving for our end user. Additionally, we have implemented the daily sub suggestion list. I think that it was wonderful when it first came out because it was at least a little bit of guidance for customers that were kind of just operating in a black hole of trying to figure out what to buy when they couldn't see live inventory. In a long-term pattern, we have been working as a company to get live inventory. We're actually in a pilot status in Texas. So the goal is hopefully by August of 2022, we will have live inventory available for our website. However, one thing that I'm doing over the holidays, I've been working with some of our techie people to revamp my sub list to incorporate the next PO date, as well as some additional features that hopefully they'll be able to layer in, we'll see. I won't get you excited over something that I don't know yet, but I'm pretty sure we're going to have the next incoming PO date. So let's say you see on the tab, no available inventory of a key item that you really want to have on that menu date that's a week or two out. If it has an incoming PO date next to it that is before the next time you would order, and it's before the event that you want to have that item, it would be a nice way for you to know, okay, I can rely on getting this product. Additionally, if you don't see an incoming PO, then you know you need to look for a different solution, or reach out to Jeff or Kathy to see, hey, what's going on with this item? I don't see a PO, and you know, this is a crucial item for me, so you can get a little bit more specific information. Additionally, some other things that we're doing is making some adjustments with our transportation team, trying to make sure that our routing is better aligned with our customers' needs. As you have all felt, and I heard the excitement over the increase in participation this year, it's impacting your entitlement. It's, you know, making people celebrate, but it's also impacting our traditional routing. So when we have standard orders that you guys have pretty much had pretty similar order sizes year over year for the last however many years, and then over the last 4 months, we've seen an extreme boom across our education segment, because not only are you feeding all of the students, but you've brought back some a la carte items, and maybe doing some additional forms of feeding where you were previously only feeding in the classroom. Maybe now you're doing both, or going back to the cafeteria where you might have some increased food needs or supplies. So that has resulted in some blown cube, which means our truck doesn't fit your order. And that creates a little bit of a panic mode for our routers and those trying to do the balance. So we're trying to realign our customers to better fit, so that we don't have some of those cases pulled or situations that are less desirable for customers. So you might get contacted about some possible adjustments to ordering. What the trickiest part for us is people that don't order routinely or every week, or low drop sizes. So we have some customers that barely meet the minimum, and it's a little bit more of a struggle to make sure we're fitting everything, because the way our truck system works, I won't go too much in the weeds, is it stops out by sizes or by number of orders. So if we have too many small orders on a truck, it will stop out, and we might leave some blank space on a truck. But additionally, if someone only orders once every other week, and then the next month they order every week, and then the third month they order once every 3 weeks, it makes it very tricky for our routers to make sure we have a balanced plan for our employees and our trailers. So they're doing some reporting analysis, and your rep might call you and just say, hey, what are some options here? So just some heads up on that. So inflation is probably no surprise to any of you that have done any sort of holiday shopping, or tried to do some planning of using materials and things like that. So in the food industry, we review the CPI for food away from home, mostly because that's your dining out, and that's what we provide services for. So over the last year, it's been over a 5% increase. And I would say average, you know, when we do bid rollovers, usually the pricing is set between 2 and 3%. So over 5% is almost double. And, you know, I don't foresee it drastically going down as we head into this bid season. So as you're kind of planning your budget and your areas that you want to make some progress on, you might want to look at some of the items that maybe are less of a have to have on your menu, or something like that, to see how you can reduce your budget. But we are doing some differences with our bids this year, where we're going to try to work more with our manufacturer partners to say, we really need you to guarantee your price through the entire bid cycle, and no more utilizing this force majeure. So they go in really low because we're in a pandemic, knowing that they can utilize some of this force majeure wording to get an increase. So we're trying to hold them a little bit more accountable to that with some amendments and agreements. And I think Kathy, am I passing this to you for the last slide? Or am I taking it?
You were taking it.
I'm taking it. All right. So, so the last thing is how can you help? You know, I think you guys are already fabulous, and I think your patience and your open communication and your flexibility has been key to our ability to sleep at night, because I can tell you that we wear the weight of the disruptions of our ability to service you the right way on our shoulders. We feel the sadness and the frustration. We're just as frustrated when we're in there doing order edits with you. So ideally, everyone is utilizing the technology that's at hand, especially the Gordon Now app, where you can see live footage of where your truck is, so that we don't have to handle where, you know, hey, where's my truck phone calls or text messages or emails. Additionally, ordering a little bit earlier. It doesn't always pan out better for you in the instant gratification of knowing that your out of stocks are earlier, but it really does help our team find solutions for you quicker, or be more available to you when you do have urgent needs that you need help finding some different product. So I think flexibility in your menu, as was talked earlier, is ideal. You know, trying to say, well, I might not have all chicken nuggets today, but I have a mixture between chicken nuggets and spicy tenders as a way to kind of pull the eyes away from different things. And I think that it's something probably more utilized in a high school or a secondary level than elementary traditionally. But I think now with the I don't know, it just seems like more and more younger students are more involved in what they eat and what they prepare at home even. So I think that their taste buds are elevated. I know my daughter can eat way spicier foods than me. And I think sometimes just drawing the eye to different options will prevent them from worrying about what they couldn't get. And then only ordering the amount of product you need. This is something that I know I have unfortunately offended some people by saying, and when we say hoarding and excessive ordering, we're not saying it in a way that we don't 100% agree with you or feel like we would do this. We'd probably do the same thing if we were in your situation. But the more people that take a couple extra cases just to have on hand, the more we're continuing to contribute to the problems. And then we're having a more difficult time meeting everyone's bare minimum needs. So we have encouraged people to take an order over the holiday if you have keys or have someone that's going to be in your building on your delivery day to receive the product, just so that you could get a little bit of extra of your canned goods or dry stock or freezer items, so that when you are in a pinch or you can't get something, you've got more of a backup item. So that's just one recommendation. If you do decide to do an order over the holiday and you haven't communicated that, just let your sales rep know so that we can make sure that we alert the transportation team. Ideally, if we are helping you with your out of stocks, then you're only placing one order per 9-digit account number. That's because if I were to show you the screen that we have to go through and our IST has to go through to do those order edits, it is very lengthy with all of the out of stocks. You think it's lengthy for your school with 10 or 11 sites. It is crazy when you have hundreds and they're all red and they all have to be touched. So every single time you're submitting a new order, just trying to catch it. We have some customers that will just submit one item at a time, just seeing what Pop-Tart can I get, or what breakfast item, or what chicken or pizza can I get, not really thinking about the amount that it is overloading our system with how many clicks we have to take to clear it out. So we understand that there's a means to an end, and if you're handling your own order edits, you know, feel free to go ahead. But I think that it's just one thing that we're encouraging is less submit buttons. And by trying to do your own first round of edits, you're really decreasing the number of items we have to look for. So for example, let's say you place your original order of everything that you would like to get, just like in a normal year, for your upcoming menu. When that out of stock alert email comes up into your inbox, then you are assessing what are the things you have to have, right? You might not need the Sun Chips and the Cheeto Puffs and the 10 cases of apple juice. You really just needed 4. And you might have been ordering for something that you don't need for a couple of weeks just to see if you can get it. So when you place that second order of items that you have to have, if you utilize the PO box to say, help me with subs or something like that, then we know that anything that's out of stock on the second order, because you've placed your original order, you've used the sub list to place a backup order based on what you have to have and what you think is in stock because of the sub list, then we know on this order, you have to have a replacement for every single thing on that order. It helps us help you better. And it also helps us only send the products that you have to have. Some people will say, I have to have everything, that's why I ordered it. Well, you know, that might be very much the case, but there are some things that people might not have to have, like a la carte. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. So those are some of the ways that if you're not doing so already, consider trying so that you can help be a better partner.
Well, Jessica, I just thank you so much. We're up against our hour. We could talk for hours on how to work better and collaborate together, but just again, from our hearts to yours, gratitude for the willingness to work with us, right? It does take a village and it takes teamwork. The next couple slides we'll go through relatively quickly. Again, just more resources for you. You are doing awesome things and people need to know about that. And so if you feel you need to have an award to hang on your wall, all of us do love that feeling, and also our communities, please consider applying at the healthiergeneration.org to talk about all of the extensive efforts we are all going above and beyond to provide nutrition meals. And also ODE, you know, we talk a little bit about that local, are wanting to hear from you as well. So for those of you who don't know, ODE is featuring a newsletter relative to farm to school efforts. They're challenging us to talk about our winter greens and sharing our stories in classroom and cafeteria. That information was sent out in the items of interest, as always, a wealth of knowledge. So we point you in that direction. Elizabeth Douglas being the lead at ODE. And last but not least, you know, thank you again for all of your time this 2021. We know you have a couple days, maybe not, a couple days back to work, and then maybe, just maybe, you're going to take a couple of weeks off around the holiday, or at least a couple of days, whatever it is. I engage this quote often in my thought process. Sometimes we don't feel like we did a good job unless we're fall down exhausted. And I want to send this to you from our team and our hearts to yours. In a world that values exhaustion, find some peace at rest and recreation this break. We'll be back with you next year. Fun stuff on the horizon coming. Did I say an e-cookbook? Maybe. January. Back to our What's Up Wednesday newsletter, our live events, as well as more opportunities to connect, share ideas, share our innovation, our inspiration, and certainly be intuitive, compassionate soldiers together in our child nutrition efforts. And thank you to all of you for your time. Certainly we are here for you. Reach out with questions. For those of you who know people that wanted to be on, we, as always, will have recordings available, and we will send out resources relative to the content you saw today in a follow-up email at the end of the year. So peace and enjoy, I hope, a restful break. And we look forward to seeing you in the new year. Thank you.